So here we are. It's January 3rd, 2022. It's our first Certified Coaches Network meeting. And today we are going to be um, talking about, we've had a chance to share who we are, our wins, where we are, an opportunity to connect with each other. But I want to share with you today's topic, which is releasing imposter syndrome. And so, why is this picture here of me looking like Uncle Sam, right? Like pointing at you because it's like you have the power to release imposter syndrome. And so, essentially, what imposter syndrome is, right, is it's kind of looking at these little diagrams that are here, where in a short version is that we believe that we are essentially different and flawed and different from those who reach success. It's in simple terms, doubting yourself consistently, right? Which is that's when it becomes a syndrome. Like you do it consistently, despite of the evidence that you have the ability to be successful. And we have all been successful at multiple things in our lives. This is why we are sitting here. So, despite all that, you still feel like, look at these little diagrams here. What I know, and can I just get a thumbs up if everybody can see my screen and also see my pointer? Yeah. You see, like what I know and what I think others know. Like you know very little, and what I think others know is so much greater, right? That's imposter syndrome. Like I know less than everybody else. I know less. I am less than. Those are the messages. But in reality, right, what you know and what other people know is actually the same, because what you're good at and what other people are good at are um essentially like not everybody is good at the same things, but we are all good at something, right? And we are all bad at something too, actually very very bad at some point in our lives. So this idea of thinking that like I am so small and everybody else is so big is essentially, right, what imposter syndrome is. Like I feel like a fraud. Who am I to want the things that I want? So essentially, right, like I said, imposter syndrome is loosely defined as doubting your abilities and feeling like a fraud, and doing that consistently, right? And so, what I would love to hear from you too, I wanted to make this interactive, is when you feel less than, or you feel like you don't belong, what are the messages that you're hearing in your head? Right. I want to just like give those voices, give that a voice. So just feel free to write it in the chat. What is it that you hear? Is it give up? Right? Like this sad woman over here on the right, like, oh, that person over there is so much better. Like many moons ago, I wanted to get my real estate license, and I thought, oh my God, why am I going to get my real estate license? There's so many. Oh, excuse me. Um, there's so many realtors out there. Why am I gonna do that? Right? That's my imposter syndrome talking, saying you don't deserve success. You're not good enough, right? Just don't do it. Don't even try. You're gonna fail. You're gonna fail again. Here you are. Like, what are those messages that you hear? Right? I'm not deserving. I'm not enough. Oh, I don't speak English good enough, right? And for that, my mom would say to her students, because my mother speaks English as a second language, students, I would tell her, you don't speak English well. She would say, but you don't speak Spanish at all. So there's always these negative messages, right, that are constantly um, speaking to us in our minds. And so the first step to that is recognizing there are these messages, right? And the message and I are separate. I am not the message, right? So I'll say that again, like you are not the messages that imposter syndrome is telling you that you are. So that's the first step to recognizing imposter syndrome. I hear those voices, but they are not me. Um, There are different types of imposters when it comes to imposter syndrome. So I just want to share with you kind of those different types and then have you identify which one do you feel you are. Um, oh, yeah, Victoria, I hear you. It says they've been in business longer and have a following, so they're definitely better. And so, what I'm going to do as I'm reading this, I'm going to talk to the imposter syndrome, right? Having more followers doesn't necessarily mean someone's better. They could have purchased their followers. I was, Leona says, I was like that with my career coaching, and I felt there were other career coaches who knew so much more than I did. They'll never know what you know because only you know that. When I see how much people are achieving, I like I'm not doing enough or I'm doing something wrong, right? You're doing the very best that you can. I don't have enough experience, right? But you have experience and you have desire. I need to get all my credentials and understand everything before I can move forward, right? So there's how would someone come to me when others are doing the same thing, Shelly, right? Because others are not you. And when someone wants to work with you, they want to work with you regardless of there's other people doing the same thing that you do. That's who you're meant to work with. And when you look at like how many people are in this world, right? There is no way that the other person that you're thinking about or the other people that do what you do can potentially encapsulate all people. So there's plenty of people to go around and there's people being born every single second. So there is enough for everybody. So there's different types of kind of imposter syndromes, right? That kind of sit in our heads, these different personas. There's the superhero that because like deep down you don't feel that you're good enough, you wanna like overwork, make sure you're always doing something, like you can't let your guard down because you deep down you are overdoing because you deep down don't really believe in what you have to offer. Then there's the perfectionist, right? The perfectionist is a person that, like, you have internalized so deeply the message that you are not good enough, but you're going to show the world that, like, you know what, I'm going to get it perfect, or you don't act at all until you get it perfect. And the truth is that it's a trap because there is no perfection. There is absolutely no perfection. That is the biggest lie that has ever been told. So you keep yourself trapped, right, in wanting to be perfect when you're never gonna be perfect. You can only do the best that you can. Then there's the expert, right? So I'm going to tag Tasha on this because she said on the chat, um, I have to have all my certifications and I have to know everything before I actually launch. Like it's that person. It's like when we're always in that space of development, like I need to learn a little more. I need to get ready. You're always getting ready. You're always trying to learn something new. But deep down, you already have everything you need. Like Tasha said, like she finally found her voice and was just able to show up in her genius and her natural way of doing things, and it was greatly received, right? So all of these personas are traps, right? Almost like the saboteurs, ways that our ego wants to keep us safe, right? In order for us not to be rejected, because essentially the imposter syndrome is about being afraid or being found out about your flaws. Then there's those of us, the natural genius, that we are so good at what we do. We naturally are so good at what we do. All of us here are natural givers. But what we do is that we take our gifts for granted and we set extremely lofty goals for ourselves where we're never really going to get those goals and we set ourselves up for failure. This is also like what's called a grandiosity complex, where we believe that what is hard for everyone should be easy for us. So we set these extremely high goals for ourselves instead of setting goals that will actually help us feel successful. And then you keep yourself in the loop of imposter syndrome. Like, I'm never going to reach that. You go for the goal, you miss the goal, you feel like a failure. You try again, and you do it over and over and over again. So I'm wondering, out of all of these, we'll go back: the expert, the perfectionist, the superhero, the perfectionist, the expert, or the natural genius. Which one do you resonate with the most? And the reason why I keep asking this, like, what is the message that your imposter syndrome tells you the most, and which one of these personas you identify with the most, is so that when this starts to come up in you the next time that you go for something big, you can actually name it and say, "Oh, there goes that's imposter syndrome. There it goes." Instead of internalizing that message and allowing it to affect your behavior, AKA affect you not following up on phone calls, reaching out to the client, putting out the message, putting out your offer, asking for the sale, all of the things that keep us from actually achieving our dreams. There's also this imposter syndrome of the soloist, right? And how many times do we all fall into this? Like, I need to figure this out on my own. I got to do it on my own. I can't let other people know that I'm struggling through this, feeling like you have to do this all by yourself, right? And so a lot of these, messages, right, that we have internalized, come from childhood. That's basically where it comes from. But even before childhood, right, we also have to look at the messages, the programming, right? We all here know about the programming that we have been putting into our minds, not just from childhood, but also prior to childhood, right? When we were in our mother's wombs, and how we're carrying the doubts and the fears of our parents, our grandparents, and our ancestors. Regardless of what our race is, everyone has gone through extreme trauma. And so, in an effort to survive and to stay safe, right, we have developed these internal mechanisms to keep ourselves from
Small.
shining our light and from in staying
Hence
small.
my large coming back. But I wanted to
Shelly,
give
can I
you.
ask you to mute yourself, please?
Oh, sorry. I thought I was.
It's okay.
Hold on.
Um, so, what we do, right, when we are in imposter syndrome, and I have this white man here because what we do sometimes when we are in this space of imposter syndrome is that we leave the possibility of success to others, right? That the mediocre white man, essentially, right? Like, they can succeed, we can't, or we're waiting for somebody to give us the opportunity, or for somebody to say, like, "Oh, you're good, you're worthy," when that is a big fat lie, right? So I'm just bringing these things forward because internally this is what's happening. Sometimes, like, we're not taking action on the things that we know are going to make our business successful, or that are going to make us successful, not just in business but in life in general. We're waiting for somebody else to do something for us, right? Leaving the possibility of our success in somebody else's hands. And I'm all about community and collectivism in a healthy way, but you have to do your part. And what keeps us from doing our part, right, are these internal messages that have been put upon us, saying that you're not good enough, you need more information, you need to go figure this out on your own, you need to get it perfect, get it right. No, you really don't. And so I think that this, what I'm sharing with you today, it can't be said enough. Um, it can't be said enough. I mean, I have to constantly remind myself of, that these messages that are in my mind are incorrect. And so know that I'm right here with you. Okay. So I know if sometimes you wake up saying like, man, it's just, you know what, it, especially in the winter, right? Like this can be me on a day, wanting to stay in bed, especially having little kids. I want to stay in bed and sleep and say, you know what, it's simply easier not to try at all. So what happens with this, right? Like especially when we want to go for big things, and I want to remind you all of the getting outside of our comfort zones, right? We fail when we want to get outside of our comfort zones. And I'm gonna pause for a second. I saw your hand raised, Andrea. Um, when we want to get outside of our comfort zones naturally, right, because of homeostasis, we're gonna feel resistance, right? We're gonna want to not do it. Maybe we want to stay asleep. Maybe we just not. It's easier not to try. Sometimes I might fail again. What happens is that what it's almost like not that we need to motivate ourselves more, but sometimes we think that like the person we're going to reach out to or those people who are successful are so different than us. But what we fail to imagine is how deeply flawed everyone else must also be, right? It's not like you don't have to do more. It's like everybody's out here trying really hard. And those people that are successful, they are trying really, really, really hard. It's not easy for them either. So let me just stop here for a second. And I saw that Drea, you raised your hand. Do you have a question before I move on?
No, I only raised my hand in agreement.
Oh, you're saying like hallelujah, right?
Yeah, that was me. I don't know. Okay, I can lower it. I didn't realize I can lower it. No, no,
No,
I
it's
was
okay.
just in agreement. Yes, that's me.
I thought you had a question. Okay, okay. So right, I just want to just pause here for a second, right, and just take a breath, because I get super passionate talking about this because I've been there. I remember the day that I thought to myself, "Oh my God, what if people find out that?" And this was not actually not in coaching, but when I was in selling my art. So a lot of you all know that I have a background as an artist. So it's my one of my little paintings here. And I remember saying, "Oh my God, what if people find out I never went to art school? Are they gonna return the paintings that they bought from me? Like, am I ever gonna sell anything? How can I ever show my face in art communities where I've never actually gone to art school? They're gonna find out I'm a fraud." And that's when I was like, wait a minute, like, who is this person talking? And so, and this happens like the voice hasn't gone away. It's just gotten lower and smaller because the voice of my faith in myself and who I am has gotten louder over time. So there's no magical pill that I'm about to give you, but what I'm going to emphasize is the word faith. Faith in yourself, faith in the universe, faith in your abilities, faith in the fact that you are at this point because of everything that has happened in your life up to this point. And not just that, but the person that birthed you and the person that birthed that person. And so this idea of that we are our ancestors' wildest dream is not just a meme. It's actually true, right? Think of all the people that had to live and die in order for you to be where you are. And so this is going to be recorded so you can go back and listen to this. I'm literally getting chills as I'm saying this because it's almost like when we succumb to this, the voice of the imposter, right? Saying that we're not good enough. Who are you? Right? Like, who are you not to? Right? How dare you disrespect all the effort that was done in order for you to be where you are? Like, who am I to sit here to think that I can't have every single thing when my mother literally crossed undocumented through the desert and a freaking river, pregnant, to give me a better life. For like your ancestors to be taken from their homeland, survive everything that they did, for you to be here and you not play full out. Like, what in the world? And like, what I think about when like if that ever comes to mind, when like I'm playing small, I can't play full out, I can't make that phone call, I'm not gonna reach out. It's like I'm being disrespectful to every single person that did everything so that I could be who I am today. So we don't want to be disrespectful. We want to honor, right? We want to honor those that came before us. So let me finish sharing my full presentation because I don't want to get sidetracked. So this is kind of what it looks like, right? When like we start out in life with a very strong impression, right? Even from when we're small. I think it's important to understand the psychology of this, that we start out in life with a strong impression that other people are especially competent, admirable, that other people are really not like us, right? So it's like, all those people over there, oh my God, like we put people up on pedestals. Because what happens psychologically is that we know ourselves from the inside. Like this is how imposter syndrome works. We know ourselves from the inside, but we know other people from the outside, right? Like we know, like in a movie, like we know all of our bloopers, but we only see like the beautiful trailer of the other person. And so one of the things that I like to take pride in is always sharing with y'all like how I got to where I am, because it wasn't a pretty, it wasn't like a pretty nice walk, you know, like there were moments of nice walks, but there were stumbling and I was rolling through the mud and like bruised and broke arms and legs, and but I still got back up. So you know that like when you're struggling, that is part of the process. Again, right? When we feel like an imposter, when we feel like we're not good enough, those people over there are better, have more experience, got it all together, we're just failing to imagine that others are as disturbed, as flawed, as anxious, as whatever we're thinking, unprepared as us. Everybody is winging it too, right? We're just doing it at different levels. And so, what does that do when we can see that if I'm vulnerable and I'm incomplete, because we all are, we're all um, working towards our greatest iteration of ourselves. Others are too, right? What that does, it's like it really helps to humanize, right? That we are all here doing this together. We can also see that like my vulnerabilities, like the things that I'm compulsory obsessed about, that I'm not good enough, it's not a curse, right? That just ascended upon you uniquely. These are universal features of human mental equipment. We are all going through the same struggle because we were all built the same way, right? This is a mechanism for survival, but we are past survival. We are on our way to thriving, right? And imposter syndrome is a form of resistance that shows up when you're stepping outside of your comfort zone, simply put, right? And in the coaching language that we understand. So the solution to imposter syndrome, you know, like I said it before, I'll say it again, is to make a leap of faith. All of us that are here have some kind of spiritual inclination, so we know exactly what faith is, right? It's like taking the step without knowing if we're actually having trust that where we're moving toward, it's going to be there, right? And you have faith every single day. When the minute you wake up to the minute when you take a breath in, you have faith that you're going to be able to take a breath out, taking a leap of faith in knowing that other people are as flawed as you are, and other people are struggling just like you are, and that they need help just like you do. So, for example, like when we think about like a queen or a superstar, right? We can also think of the fact that they go to the bathroom. They have, they have necessities just like we all do, bodily functions, right? Making whoever you are putting on a pedestal or you think is better than you, humanize them in whatever way you can. This is just a funny picture of like putting the queen on the toilet. So there's a this scientist by the name of Montaigne, who is like where I got a lot of this research from. He said that, kings, philosophers, and ladies are racked by self-doubt and feelings of inadequacy too. So just remember that. And that when you make a leap of faith around what other people are really like, right, it helps us to humanize the world. And that's what we're really after here, right? Is about changing the world, humanizing the world, helping each and every person that we work with to feel like they are an equal and they are deserving of everything that they want. And they too need to know, just like you need to know, your clients also need to know that their flaws are not just their flaws. Everybody has flaws. But despite of those flaws, you move forward anyway. I wanted to read you all a I wanted to end. I wanted to read you all a quote from a book that I'm reading called Impostor, Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Okay. Highly, highly recommend this book. So in the book, it says, on the path to healing, right? Like, this is what we need to remember. It is through knowing who and what we are. It is through knowing who and what we are that we can identify our strengths and build upon them. Then, using our strengths, we can heal the injuries of our history. And we need to heal for ourselves, we need to heal for our families, and we need to heal for our communities. Once we know ourselves and we are widely on the path of health, we cannot move, we can move at the pace necessary to not just to catch up, but to actually excel. And I think some of you are asking for the name of the book again. It's called Post-Traumatic, Laura, if you can write it on the chat for people. Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome by Dr. Joy DeGray. So with that, I want to stop here and see if anybody has any questions or anything they would like to share. We have 3 more minutes together. Anything that resonated with you the most?
So I could share. I think my pillars in the business, right? You are mind, body, heart, and soul, and especially when it comes to the business, sometimes the belief is woo woo, and
Say that again, Tasha. When it comes to
woo
business,
woo. Sometimes like the belief, having faith, sometimes feels woo woo because in the business, when you need to get into your masculine energy, you're working, so you're like, oh, what do I need faith? You're constantly thinking that you need to produce, But what I do like is you have to remember that's where it starts off from. Like you really can't move anywhere until you believe and have faith to move forward. And we always forget, like, I'm getting up on a Monday and I'm thinking, let's go. But, to take that few minutes to believe and visualize it and get into that energy, we all know it, but it's really hard for us to do it sometimes or remember.
yeah, and to take the time to get into our feminine energy, right? Which is like those of us that have had children know that it's like what a miracle it was to create a child. Like I mean, I did something, but it wasn't like after that moment, it was like those 9 months, like what? This is just happening. So there is an energy, right? There's that faith that we have that this child is going to grow and create itself. We're gonna do whatever we can, but there's a bigger intelligence, right? And that faith that we have, that blind faith, is also that faith that we need to have, that we are here for a purpose and that we are all imperfect. And so like let's take a step forward into what we want to step into, and know that you said, it's like you said, Tasha, is the that's the masculine side, right, of business. Like, oh, let's go, like it's linear. It's no, it's not just male, it's both, is male and female. Yeah, and that's what's needed to create and grow anything, really, from businesses to trees to babies. Yeah. Um, so with that, if you can do me a favor, and put in the chat, what is one thing that you are committing to between now and the next time that we meet in February? So you can just go ahead and write it in the chat. What's one thing that you're committing to, thinking about, or doing towards your business between now and the next time that we meet? And our next meeting is going to be on February 7th. Okay. And so take a moment to just put it in writing, saying, what are you committing to? And then again, I'm gonna ask Laura if you can put in a link to, if you're not part of the Coaches Network yet, you wanna learn more about the network. Laura, you can go ahead and put the link on there, and you can learn more there. And then also put the link to my Calendly, again, if y'all wanna reconnect. And then I also wanted to share with you all that I have two courses coming up. So one is at the end of January, where I'm launching Create Your Best Year with Power and Intention. And so that's a 8-week course for attorneys and leaders of color. So if you know anyone that can benefit from rethinking about their careers and their lives and being more intentional and more powerful, please send them my way. For all of you who are here, you get a Laura, you can also put those links in there if people want to learn more about the course. For all of you who are here, when you refer anyone to me for anything, for either the course, I give you a referral bonus. And then my next certification is happening mid-February. And Laura's gonna put the link on there for that too. And then you always get $100 bonus for referring folks to that. Yeah. So with that, I wanna I just wanna see here. Launching my consulting website that's been in a draft form quite some time. Yep, building my business. So Michelle also asked for the you asked for the chat. So I'm gonna send this to everybody. I'm gonna send the recording, and I'm also just gonna send the chat for everybody to have. Well, I look forward to seeing you all again in February if I don't talk to you before then. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for bringing your energy. This is always so refreshing to see all of you and to have this conversation with you, as always. My big win is showing up for this today, and seeing all of you. So thank you. I hope you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Have a wonderful day, ladies. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Clara. Bye-bye.
Laura, thank you for all your help.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Clara.
Thank you, ladies. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I want the bed.
Laura, quédate un momentito.
Hmm?